Hello, my love, and welcome back. Today we are diving into The Little Mermaid. So if you are a woman who grew up watching this all the time and you currently struggle with confidence in speaking your truth or having throat chakra blockages, this is going to be so supportive for you because that has personally been one of my biggest struggles over the years. And when I started understanding more about the subconscious and the ways that we have absorbed like these little things in our childhood and then created our realities based upon it, I was blown away because I was like, oh my gosh, I had no idea as a little girl the ways that the messages from this movie were actually impacting me. So I'm going to help you set yourself free with the awareness from what I'm about to share, okay? Because I wasn't a huge fan of The Little Mermaid, I'll be honest. But I did really, I still watched it a lot of times, and I remember just like the fear around the scene when she's basically selling her soul. I meant to say selling her voice, but like Freudian slip. Like she's selling her voice to the sea witch. And firstly, let's just take a note at that regarding the fact that she couldn't have it all, right? Immediately, we are programmed with this belief that it's one or the other. And if you've been in my world for a while, you know I'm a very firm believer that we deserve and we are designed to have all the things, right? We're worthy of love and purpose and money and freedom and all the different things, instead of the beliefs that a lot of the older generations had. And quite honestly, it was different in that time and age, but there was such a sacrifice, and like you couldn't have this if you had that, right? A lot of people had the financial stability, but then like their home life was horrible. Or you couldn't have the healthy, loving relationship while also being in your power and, you know, your purpose, right? I'm a firm believer that that doesn't have to be true, and we get to have it all when we understand the power of our subconscious and when we are living in divine alignment to our highest self and our highest purpose. With all of that said, The Little Mermaid immediately gives us this programming that in order to have the freedom and the lifestyle and the potential love that Ariel desires, she has to sacrifice her voice. So unconsciously, as a little girl, when you're watching this and you're absorbing this, and you know your brain is like just a big sponge that's taking everything in, and you have no idea how it's filtering things or how this is going to impact you when you get older. You are seeing that you cannot have it all, that you have to choose between one or the other. And if, like me, you also had other kind of programming around your voice, which I'll get into in a minute, then this just amplifies that, and it can add to that belief that in order to succeed or in order to be loved, you have to be quiet, right? Like, take a second to think on that. It makes me want to cry, because in order to have the man that she thinks she's in love with, that's a whole other argument, right? But in order to have the partnership that she wants, she has to be silenced. And like, how disempowering of a program is that for little girls to see without even realizing how it's impacting them? Now, add that on to then the other beliefs, the other programs from society, the comments of like, girls are better seen and not heard, right? Or the mentions that you're too much, too loud, too over the top, too annoying, too excited, right? And so you're constantly told to dim down, to be quiet, to silence your voice, silence your expression. Or for me, it wasn't necessarily as much of those things as it was me sharing and being excited, but adults being too busy or too stressed about their own stuff and in their own unhealed traumas and dramas that they didn't really pay attention or they didn't really receive. Or my dad, for instance, wasn't around very often, and then when he was, I'd be excited to share, and he wasn't really listening or paying attention, right? So it can show up in so many different ways, but all this different programming around your voice. And when your subconscious is so open and it's literally taking in everything to then create an identity and an understanding of who you are and how the world works in accordance and in relationship to you, this is really dangerous, like really detrimental, because we wouldn't even realize it at the time. But all these examples I've just given, and then for instance, the Little Mermaid piece, right? It's so disempowering because then as we start to grow up, we have these little beliefs in the back of our mind that our voice doesn't matter, or that you're not going to be heard, right? Or that it's going to be annoying, that it's better to just stay quiet. Or I'm going to take this like even further in a next quantum level for a second. These traumatic moments in the movie, for example, like it's a pretty scary scene when Ursula is singing Poor Unfortunate Souls, and then Ariel sings and like signs her voice away, right? And this contract, like there is deep witchcraft in that, metaphorically or like symbolically, but all on a deeper quantum scale. I lost my train of thought for a second with where I was going. There are always ways for lower thought forms and negative entities to attach to things. And the lower level vibrational ones typically attach through pain, through trauma, through fear, through those moments where you're like shocked and scared and it's constricting, and that is where something can latch onto you. And I never talk about this in a fearful way. I'm being very cautious with my words because I know everyone watching these and listening to these is going to be at different stages in your journey. And I know years ago this would have sounded very out there to me. But what I've experienced through doing a lot of the deep quantum healing hypnosis work for myself and for clients, and we are connecting and I'm looking at people's energetic fields, and they are looking at it as well and seeing certain things that have like clamped or attached to them, and certain things that also can implant. And when I talk about that, which is something I teach different tools on inside my courses, but it can like plant in, and it's like a little hook that's attached to you, and now it's like holding you back or stopping you from something that's going to ultimately empower you and move you forward, right? So this movie and this scene in particular, this moment of kind of impact and trauma, and a child watching it and being like exposed to kind of a fearful, intense exchange taking place with Ursula and Ariel, it opens you up, and it's a chance for some of these negative things to attach. And as you get older, what happens is like attracts like, right? And I want to run this home in general for reprogramming work, because what we are holding or what we are believing to be true, we tend to attract and create more of. So if you think this one thing is your story and this thing always happens, for me, oh, my voice is never heard, no one's ever listening to me. That was such a deeply ingrained program. It was never an ultimate truth. It never had to hold so much power or control in my life. But I was unaware until, the last few years when I started working on it deeper. But that held such a deep imprint and became a part of my identity that like attracts like. So no matter what situation I was in, I was entering it with the identity of my voice doesn't matter. Often that meant I would just stay even quieter because I already was telling myself, well, nobody's gonna listen anyway, so I'll just stay here quiet and I'll just be the wallflower and I won't even bother trying, right? Or it could look like I do speak up a little bit, but I'm already so deeply stuck and trapped in the belief that my voice doesn't matter and nobody's gonna listen, that say I share something, then my brain is designed to look for proof of what it already believes. So someone I share to maybe looks the other way or seems a bit distracted while I'm talking. Immediately, that is like a signal to this deeply ingrained identity and this wound that I have, where now I'm instantaneously like, oh my gosh, see, they're not even listening. And hopefully, as you're listening to this, you can think of examples of this happening in your own life where you felt defeated and you felt like someone was, reaffirming your wound. But in reality, it might have just been your brain finding proof when it wasn't even the case, right? 9 times out of 10, I would say, people are reflecting back to us. We see what we want to see. We see what we're designed to see. I can speak so loud and so confidently, but if I'm already expecting dismissal or disregard, then that is how I feel afterwards. But as I deeply have reprogrammed, and I'm still working on that because this is probably my biggest wound, as I'm deeply reprogramming it to believe like my voice matters and the right people take it in and they really respect and honor like what I'm saying, as I work on reprogramming that and creating a new identity and new neural pathways in my brain, then when I speak, my brain is now starting to look for proof of that. And so I'll see, oh, this person actually did listen. This person leaned forward. I could tell they were taking in what I was saying, right? All these subtle, unconscious cues are now supporting the new belief system and the new identity that I'm creating. Nothing externally might have changed. It was all my own internal programming and the removal of the negative things and the implantation of the positive ones, right? So bringing this back around to Little Mermaid and to these fears and this like intensity, right? And you see this sacrifice of, in order for her to have her happiness, she had to give away her voice. And so unconsciously, this creates a little belief in your child mind of like, oh, it's not safe for me to speak up. Or if I speak up, I'm going to be rocking the boat. Or, it's going to cause me to maybe lose something else in exchange. You could have no awareness that this is taking place on the conscious level, because as like 5, 6, 7, even 10, even 15-year-olds, right? We're not often aware of these things. But you'll realize as you get older that you have these blocks towards expressing yourself, speaking your truth, showing up fully, sharing your authentic voice, believing in its power and its magnitude. And what I want to wrap this up with is the fact that your voice is a vehicle for the divine to flow through. It's why, even with all my insecurities over the years, I've tried very hard to cultivate being very intentional about the words that I choose. And it's why I love writing and being very intentional with the words that I'm writing, because the power of God is coming through in your voice. You have the ability to command to literally command and create from this space. It's an incredibly powerful portal. And if we have these blocks or these fears, these traumas, these unconscious beliefs, or if we have potential energetic implants, things that I mentioned that are like kind of hooking on to your energetic field, it's siphoning your energy a little bit. It's like blocking the natural energy flow, right? It's causing you to always revert into like a small, disempowered energy. That is not you. That is not God. That is not truth, right? It's something that is there that is stopping you and holding you back from your fullest expression and your fullest power. And therefore, we want to clear that out. We want to get rid of that. We want to make space for that channel to be clear again. And all of this is going on in the subtle realms, right? You could have physical manifestations from it, but definitely like subconscious, mental body, emotional body, as well as the energetic body are all being impacted. So if you want more support with this, this is something I teach inside my different quantum healing hypnosis bundles, where we are not only using hypnosis to reprogram and create these new neural pathways in your brain so that you see yourself differently, so that you can show up, speak, be empowered, really sharing your truth, right? And seeing yourself as that new version of you and that new empowered identity. But we're also doing the energetic work to clear out anything that has maybe attached or hooked, or it's siphoning, it's pulling you back, it's keeping you questioning or doubting yourself, keeping you small. These are all things that can be connected in our energetic field, and it's nothing to be afraid of. It's literally like the coolest thing to break free from once you understand ways to do it. And there's a ton of different tools you can use. This is just my personal favorite that I have found the most effective, because we're working directly with your subconscious and you're communicating directly with your subconscious and your higher self and God to really clear out anything that's not meant to be there, right? For me, the Little Mermaid and the blocks that she had around her voice impacted me a lot. It just added to the beliefs that as a girl, my voice didn't matter. And I can say, after experiencing numerous incredibly traumatic events, sexual assault, sexual harassment and abuse from like bosses and coworkers, and then being raped and like all these things where it literally felt like I had no power in my voice, no ability to speak up or say more or defend myself. And I truly believe that firstly, it was just part of my life's path and something I was meant to understand so that I could support other people with. But secondly, I believe it was a lot of subconscious programming and also lower level energies that were trying to block me and trying to keep me in this place of suffering and struggle instead of standing fully in my power. And that is the last thing I want for any women or any human beings on this planet, is to be blocked or to feel small or to be dismissed and silenced and disrespected. And it's really, really powerful work that we can do to shift these things and to realize that no matter what the programming has been, no matter what our past experiences have been, no matter what our beliefs have been, right? We can rewrite all of that and shift all of that. And then we can walk around and sing. We can walk around like Ariel at the end, right? And have this beautiful channel again and truly be communicating and bringing the divine through, being intentional, sharing that with one another and with ourselves and creating a new reality from that place. So if you want more support with this, I've dropped the links down below to check out the Quantum Healing Hypnosis bundles. You can also always send me a message on Instagram if you want to chat and find out what would be the best for you at this particular moment in space and time. And I will be back again soon with another Disney character programming breakdown. If you have any suggestions of characters or anything specifically you'd love for me to dive into, feel free to comment that down below. And if not, I will see you soon anyway, and I'm sending you so much love.